Hello, and this is a sister's point of view, the conversation. I am Tanya Kennedy, and this is your panel. Say hello, panel.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Teresa Dash.
Hi, I'm Shantae McLaughlin.
Hi, I'm Al Bartell.
And today we are talking about taking our financial situation and changing it from stressed to blessed. So we've got some financial heavy hitters on here today, and we've also got two more people coming. So you guys want to stay tuned and be excited because they're going to give you guys some information about how to take this situation that we are in with quarantine and coronavirus and monetize this situation. So stay at home doesn't mean stay stagnant. Stay at home means get to work. So I want you guys to go ahead and introduce yourselves further. We're going to start with you, Mr. Bartell, and you tell us, because I see it says Senate candidate under your name. So talk about that a little bit and tell us what that's about. What does it mean exactly?
Well, as we move forward into the 21st century, particularly in the state of Georgia, it is clear that Georgia has a bright future full of wealth and health and economic development on all levels. But the question is, who's going to be included in that future and who's going to be left behind? So I'm interested in making sure that everybody gets to go. In order to do that, we have to impact the public policy structure in our nation. How do we begin to have the Congress in Washington, D.C. get clear that neighborhood leaders, community leaders, small business leaders must be included in the public policy process of our nation? The major accountability for doing that is the 100 members of the United States Senate. So I'm interested in having urban, suburban, and rural communities benefit in what's happening in the United States Congress. The best way for me to do that was to be a candidate for United States Senator so I can impact the message. And if the Lord's willing that I get elected, I can impact the message and also implement the strategy. And so that was my impetus for running for United States Senator, is to make sure that everybody gets to be included in the health, wealth, and well-being as we move forward in the dawn of the 21st century.
Well, okay. I don't, other than, and with coronavirus being such a big thing and everybody's at home watching television, I spend my life watching Fox News lately. And so I've been learning a lot more about Senate and senators simply because I've been seeing what they do in the process on the news. Prior to that, I was clueless. Like I knew we had a House and a Senate, and I knew they did what they did, and them doing what they do, they give it to the president. He either signs it or vetoes it and comes back. But I didn't really know the process until I watched it happen, and then I was like, wow, that's a lot. That's a lot to have to go through to get laws passed. So do you not think that urban leadership has a real voice in Washington, D.C.?
Currently, the data shows that lobbyists, special interest groups, and corporations maximize the agenda coming out of Washington, D.C. Many times, the urban communities, lots of the suburban communities, and the rural communities are not included in that conversation. So given the access we now have to social media, new kinds of technology, it increases our chances of impacting the conversation in Washington, D.C. in an unprecedented way. And so, yes, the data shows that urban leaders in particular, and urban communities in particular, are left out of the decision-making process that happens in Washington, D.C. because it's so highly impacted by lobbyists, special interest groups, and corporations.
Okay. Sharika, Shantae, do you guys have any thoughts on that while we're still talking about it? I mean, do you have any thoughts on that lawmaking process and what Al was talking about? What do you see that's going on?
Um, so I'm a little biased because I know Al Bartel, and I would like for Al Bartel to share his consulting experience about what the work that he's done in DC around minorities. That's my request.
Okay, sir.
Sure. With minorities in Washington, D.C., one of the first questions was how do we reduce incidents of violence in neighborhoods and communities, particularly in the urban centers? So when I was in Washington, D.C., I was able to look at what would it take to do that. I was able to design a series of roundtable discussions, development sessions, and summits, and speak and talk. And I began to see the young men begin to have an experience of being heard. And we matched the data about what we were doing, and it showed that that was one of the first times that young men had an experience of being heard by an adult Black male. And that made all the difference in the world and began to impact mental health issues and support issues for decreasing incidents of violence in urban neighborhoods and communities. That experience in Washington, D.C., with Congress and with the administration, launched me into a whole realm of public engagement, which is what I do as a consultant in Georgia for the last 25 to 30 years, and in Washington, D.C. For 10 years before that.
So, how does that translate into finances? For example, if you're dealing with a young man that is someone that's coming out of, say, a gang situation, and they don't have a working knowledge of how to open a bank account or how to, but they know how to do what they do on the street corner. How would you take a young man like that and change his narrative from being a street entrepreneur to legitimate entrepreneurism and asset to the community versus a liability? How does that translate for you?
The first thing we have to do is acknowledge the courage that it takes to be a below the line street entrepreneur. So it's not that they don't know how to do business, they know how to do business very, very well. So they should be acknowledged for bringing that skill to bear. And then it's my accountability to introduce them to the system that we call America. For the most part, America wants to disregard the value of street knowledge. I'm interested in doing the opposite. We want to acknowledge the value of street knowledge and introduce them to the system of America. Once they get introduced to the system of America, they get real clear they can do business in their sleep. They already know how to do it. They just had no idea the system of America operates the exact same way the street business does. And once we connect them to that realization, connect them to that awareness, they can alter their lives, the lives of their family, and the lives of their communities.
Wow. We recently did a show on welfare, like food stamps and different welfare aspects. And one of the things that we talked about was wanting to be able to touch the lives of people that were once with a poverty mentality impacted by welfare, which I had that be my situation, and transforming their mindset to learning how to control their finances, learning how to save, learning how to budget, and being able to transition off of that system into, as you called it, the system of America. What programs would you have in place, or what do you have in place that offers that type of a situation for, say, a family that you've got a single mom, she's got kids, she doesn't know anything else? What would you tell her?
Well, it would be useful for us to expand the programs that already exist, particularly in urban centers. We have programs in urban centers that can take a mom who doesn't understand how to impact her circumstances and her situations, teach her how to about a budget. Teach her how to understand what the difference is between having a job and having a business. Teach her the difference between raising children and parenting children. We have programs in place at the level of city and county to do that. But those programs are underfunded and are very limited. So, what I would tell young mothers and young families is to be vigilant, to continue to be determined to link up with those programs. Those programs are there, but they don't have the staff and the resources to reach out to you. So, the other thing I would tell young parents is to start their own awareness group. They already have an incredible network of communication back and forth. I would encourage them, particularly a lot of them are leaders in their own right, to start their own awareness group so that they can make themselves and others aware of the programs that do exist.
Okay, and I would like to comment on that part.
Yes, ma'am.
In the middle, in the middle of that whole conversation that we had, we started talking about building a group and so forth because I was one of the people who talked about how prior to being on food stamps and welfare, where I was actually coming to get on food stamps and welfare because I was trying to move myself from a situation where I was not necessarily making money the most legal way there was. And the abuse that I got when I stepped into the system, the way I was treated, just made me say, you know what, if there's not a lane for you, maybe you need to create your own lane. And I just couldn't accept the assistance because coming from where I was coming from, I wasn't gonna let nobody talk to me like that because it wasn't a problem for me to have money. It's just that what I was doing was putting my whole family in danger, and I knew that that wasn't maybe the best way to make money. But I mean, they treated me so bad, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna go back.
Yeah.
So I'm going to create a lane for myself. And so I got myself in school and I started opening my clinics due to the fact that I got discouraged enough to say that I'm going to take care of these kids because my whole reason for doing what I was doing was I had a family real young. When I started my family, there was no such thing as, oh, you go out and get a job. I was 14. Yes. So there wasn't options. There wasn't nobody with no support group or nobody saying, well, this is what you can do, or here's a way for you to support your family. So I had to figure it out all on my own. And with my family, I've learned that the biggest way for me to get motivated and do something is it's just left on me to get it done. And I'm going to figure out a way. And so that's what helps made me just, decide that, but if these people ain't going to do it, you got to figure out something else. And so I went to school and then I started opening up the clinics, and we do pre-employment and wellness centers. And that was the lane I took, but I just had to create that for myself. That wasn't nothing nobody gave me a blueprint on or nothing like that. But I know that everybody is not as fortunate enough or be knowledgeable enough to say that I'm able to create something. So what sort of where would we find information that we could share with people? Because I'm one of them ones that if somebody come to me and I got the answer, I'll try to get it.
Yes.
So before you answer that, Mr. Bartell, before you answer that, I want to introduce our other two panelists that have just joined us. Brittany, Tequila, please introduce yourselves and say what you do.
I know you want to go first, Brittany, or you want me to go ahead and go?
Yes. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Hi. My name is Brittany. I'm at. Hello. Oh, the sound.
We hear you.
Okay. Okay. Hello. Okay. You can hear me? Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay. Hi, my name is Brittany. I have a degree in fashion marketing, but today I want to talk about annuities. Because due to the coronavirus, I found another opportunity to assist people with making sure that they have, secure income. Even though it's not my degree field, I want to make sure that we're all secure as we're going through all these trying times. And then there'll be another show where I'll talk more about my personal brand, but I just want to let everybody know how I'm making money working from home, helping people to secure their futures, using insurance and annuities and stuff like that. So.
That's awesome. I have an insurance background as well, so that's pretty neat. Ms. Tequila, go ahead and introduce yourself, my dear.
Okay, hello, my name is Tequila Makiba. I apologize. I was having technical difficulties. As you can see, I have an avatar because for some reason my computer doesn't want to act right. So, however, my name is Tequila Makiba. I am founder of the Wealth Gospel. And I know most people say the Wealth Gospel. Why did you name it that? Well, I just felt like most people talk about a gospel about everything else except their finances, which everybody needs to talk about because for some reason money is a taboo. So with that, I have partnered with MWR Financial, and we're helping people get through this pandemic, this crisis, by improving their finances and working from home. But, you know, this thing is not a bad thing. You can actually win from it.
And so the question that we had posed earlier, right before you ladies joined us, because we did a show on welfare and food stamps and those sort of things where people were having to depend heavily on the system.
Right.
And now we talked about wanting to start a group that would help those people or people that are in that situation, which I would have been in that situation, taking people that have been in that situation and teaching them how to transition out. And so that's the question that was on the table. How do we, because Mr. Bartell, our resident soon-to-be senator, has told us that there are programs out there to help, but they're underfunded, they're understaffed, and so there's not enough resources for people to learn how to get from point A to point B. So ladies, with you guys just joining us, could you tell us your take on how would you address that situation?
For myself, because I think it's a whole mindset with it because it's a cycle and a cycle that somehow people don't want to break or they don't know how to break because that's what they were taught growing up. You know, you go get welfare, you go get food stamps or what have you. So we can find a way to shift their mindset and then show them, okay, well, if we show you how to shift your mindset and then we have a program that can help you get off the stamp or welfare so you can better your future. So it doesn't have to keep being a cycle. It can become broken.
Okay, Miss Brittany, what's your take on it?
Yes, I think as Miss Tequila, I'm hoping to Miss Tequila mentioned, I think as a culture, we're used to doing things by process and by cycle. And I think with the coronavirus, it's really shaken up our program. So with the information that we're providing to many people, because my circle is quite vast, I hope that even if they don't take our opportunities, that they could reconsider some of the program mindsets that we were all grown up to have so that we can, you know, become better secured financially, because a lot of people in our culture have deep issues with finances. So we just want to make sure that if it's, you know, middle, you know, if they can afford it, if they can't afford it, whatever situation they may be, that at the end, at least, you know, of this coronavirus, they at least have a good path of a different financial path, because that's a big problem, you know, plaguing our group of people.
So does anybody want to address what she just said? Because I heard her say that that's a big problem that's plaguing our people. So what Brittany just brought up a good point, that it's something that's been perpetuated. So how do we really change that narrative? Does anybody want to address that? How do we change that narrative?
I'd like to address it. So one, I don't know how accurate that is. Like, I grew up in a single parent household, but my mother made close to 6 figures, and I didn't grow up on welfare or food stamps. And I've had both welfare and food stamps. I can recall going to get welfare with a Birkin bag and some diamond Chanel earrings, afraid that I'm going to prison, and welfare was the other option of, you know, doing what I needed to do for my family in a legitimate way. And even right now, with everything going on, I just spent almost $250 at Walmart for my pickup for the week. And y'all know I pick up every week to every 2 weeks. I pick up my groceries because I'm not going in the store. And I applied for some of those emergency food stamps because I got boys in this household. And I'm looking at my savings account. I'm looking at what I'm trying to do with my business. And I've been around other cultures and other cultures do it. If you look at the statistics, there's more Caucasians on social assistance than there are African Americans and Spanish people. So, or the brown people. So when it comes to it, it's just a matter of knowing what you're doing as far as if you can work it in your budget to save some money compared to living off of it. You know, they're about to roll out unemployment. I've never applied for unemployment, but right now they're rolling out unemployment for small business owners, independent contractors, where it's going to be $600 a week. And you can still keep working, but just because of the impact of the coronavirus, along with the different programs with the SBA, which are running out of funds for the businesses themselves, I've applied to everything there is. You know, I've situated my business to do business with the government. I've done my contracts, my bids. I've reached out to someone to be my fiscal agent for one of my events that I have coming up so that I can write grants. I've done what I needed to do to get certified to write grants. You know, during this downtime, it's good to educate yourself and it's good to put in place different things that can be beneficial. But when it comes to government assistance, I mean, we might be unemployed until August or in quarantine. They keep pushing these dates back, and with them phasing out how we're going to return to social, you know, from social distancing. So there's a matter of people who, you know, right now, the stimulus check, they're talking about people getting $2,000 a month with the next rollout with the stimulus, and you can be unemployed. So they're talking about the people who have been on welfare getting $2,000 a month, $500 per child, max of 4 kids, and getting the maximum possible on food stamps, and getting $600 a week. That's not the $600 a week. Unemployment is taxable, but the stimulus money is not. So you have the opportunity for people who are getting welfare and food stamps and living in the projects to come out of poverty right now. So it's actually a really good time in our society to do what you need to do to stack your money up and to figure out legitimate businesses, whether it's a cleaning service, a dog walking service, or doing business with the government. You know, I thought I was going to prison. Me and Al have been friends for 12 years, and we've even had a business together. And, you know, like, you figure out a way to do things the right way.
So let's talk about it. Some of these people's stimulus checks are dropped, and I've seen TVs rolling out of Walmart in the last. I've seen the big ones. Yeah, it's to say I need a TV for my living room and having one, but I have seen the big TVs rolling out of Walmart. I'm talking they couldn't even get it in the trunk. Right. So what you're talking about, Shante, when you start talking about fiscally minded people that may have been down at one point, but they're like, I don't want to stay here. But we're talking about the career food stamp recipient. We're talking about somebody that has never understood what it means to change their scenario. What do we say to them? Because you can say that to us. What do we say to them?
But listen, I kind of agree with Shante. With no matter what the situation is, you got to realize you can say people career food stamps and welfare recipients, but what else do they know? That might be the problem. Knowledge might be the problem.
What do we say?
But even beyond
the conversation don't have to. Excuse me. I would say the conversation don't have to be no difference. The difference might be the person never had someone to take the time to care to give them a different narrative. Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying her conversation don't have to change. It's just the fact that she took the time to give say that person that's sitting there on no food stamps never might have thought, me and you figure it out, Shante, that, okay, this is scary. Let me go do something else. That person might not have that knowledge we had the knowledge. Somebody that don't have the knowledge, they figuring this is it. This is the only thing I can do. There's nothing left for me. But that's what we here for, to tell them, okay, I was here and this is what helped me. This is something, I started a clinic. That word clinic sound big to people. That how the devil can I start a clinic? I was literally in a $300 building, getting all my supplies from a company, I started a business with $300 that's now franchised, and I open up clinics for other people. That word clinic sounds real scary, and you might think that you couldn't do it. But me going to school to become a medical assistant, not a nurse, a doctor, or anything else, enabled me to open up a wellness, pre-employment and wellness clinic. Y'all know what's the big idea behind that? I do drug testing for pre-employment and corporate wellness. But that's what I do. And they call it a clinic. I buy no supplies, but that's things that we can put in our community that other people can do.
Right.
But if you don't know that, if I tell you today you're going to open a clinic, you'll think I'm crazy because you're going to say, I need to be a doctor, I need to do this, I need to do that. Right. But that's the thing. Right. Knowledge is a powerful thing. If you don't have the knowledge, you could be left in the dark. It don't make you a bad person. Mm-hmm. It's just the fact that you don't do no more than you know. And sometimes doing something different is scary.
Right.
So somebody else want to address what she just said, because that was a good follow-up. In other words, I threw it out there, she threw it back at me. So does somebody else want to address what somebody else? And that's my job. My job.
Yeah, that's your job.
I'm throwing them out. You guys got to throw them back. So what?
Somebody else give me I'll say when it comes to that. Sometimes it's not always, like I have a degree and I was opening a business. And welfare, if it wasn't for having to go through those different classes, I got so tired of going through those classes for that little bitty welfare. I was like, I am not doing this. Somebody sign up on my paper saying that I work for you so that I can stop going to these classes. And I really did it for daycare, because a lot of people, I was paying $800 to $1,000 a month for daycare. And with starting a business, I wanted to come up off of that $1,000. I wanted my $1,000 instead of it going to daycare. And so, like, little things, I'm always trying to figure out ways to cut my costs. And that might, to some people, that might be a welfare mentality or whatever it might be, but I'm going to cut my costs. And when I started my nightclub, I was 27, and I had 2 business partners. And one of my partners, I had 2 investors, and I had a business partner. And we subleased a club for $1,200 a month and gave him 15% of our bar. And it held 5,000 people. So I was able to do, and it had a stage. So we were able to do concerts inside of our club. And that's what we did. And so it's like you just figure out a way, you get creative. And my background was radio marketing and sales. So every time that I do an event, I look for sponsors. I partner, I collaborate, I get somebody else to do my event, and then I keep my money, and then I go get my food stamp, and I feed my family, and then I save my money, and I open up 3 or 4 bank accounts, and I do it legitimately, because my money goes to my business, and I might not be making any kind of money on paper for Shantae unless my business is paying me. So that's why right now in this bailout, you have multi-million-dollar companies and corporations, and you still have, like, I work for several millionaires, and I know a couple of billionaires, and I work for this one millionaire in particular where her company owns everything. Like, one thing that people don't realize is, even when it comes to insurance, you get caught driving a car without insurance, you're going to jail. Once you enter into a certain tax bracket, you don't have to have insurance. You can self-insure. So she self-insures her everything. She has all of her Cadillacs, all of her Ferrari, all of her expensive cars are in her business's name. And she makes like $100,000 a year. And everything is in her business name. And she gets paid to do that. So she's able to qualify for a lot of things that most people wouldn't think that she qualifies for. And she still lives in her mansion, and she adopts her kids from these third world countries. And she does what she does. And she lives she don't even live a modest life. She wears high-end designer brands, but her company is what pays for those things. Her company owns all of those things. So it's just about your money.
How do we teach that? Because there's a lot, like what Al was talking about in terms of, you got street entrepreneurs that are out in the world and they have business knowledge, but they don't have the wherewithal to do it the right way. Tequila, I know you were talking about wealth. Say the name of your company again. The Wealth Gospel. So how do we educate how do we give them the gospel? because she just gave me some gospel. Like I felt that all in my spirit. I felt that deep in my spirit. I did. I felt it. How do we give them the gospel? What are we telling people? How do we do that? I want to do that.
Well, financial literacy and financial education is definitely key. However, you can give it to them, but it has to be applied. So, do they want to apply the knowledge? Do they want to change? Do they want to start a business and themselves and their family to get the business strategy that they need that's going to help them win?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, Al, what were you going to say?
Who, me?
Al, what were you going to say?
Well, what she's pointing to is a lot of times we're taught go to school, get a good education, and get a good job. We're not necessarily taught go to school, get a good education, and go into business.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot that we don't know as a culture, which to find out about it, we have to take care of our families, our communities, and our churches. So now that we have never had, it's useful for us to go back to our churches, back to our communities, and spread the word. We are clear that government is accountable. A lot of times, government does not have the manpower to distribute that kinds of information. There are times when we can get funding from foundations to do that. They're not going to take off. We have access to information that we never had before. It is useful for us to go back and spread the word. That's why this broadcast is so critical. The model that you currently have in place is so critical because when this model gets to be shared and you begin to train and develop other people to do exactly here tonight, then we spread the word and lift all boats and moving forward.
Wow. Well, thank you. That we've tried to be informative. That's the goal. Specifically with this show, the goal is to bring information to people. Excuse me, to bring information to people that they would not ordinarily get. So the information that here we get the information over here, and instead of keeping it for ourselves, the goal is to then share this information with the people who not only our viewers but our friends and the people that we come in contact with, because that means that they then are able to educate themselves and they can then share this video again with someone else. So you're absolutely right. That's the entire goal of what we do, is to make sure that this information that we get goes to the people so that they can elevate and so that they can educate. Because I know as a mom, because I am an entrepreneur, I'm entrepreneur minded. My children are taught that, you're going to work at McDonald's for 5 minutes because that's long enough for you to get your record off the ground, long enough for you to get your modeling together, long enough for you to brand you. You take that money, do this, and then you go start your own thing. Because working for somebody else is only going to last so long. And so but everybody's not teaching their kids that. So that's the part that we're trying to bridge that gap, to go from this is what you're teaching your kids to now this is what you're teaching your kids.
And let me say this to you real quick about the welfare food stamps conversation. So, one, I've had welfare one time in my life, and that was for all of 4 months. And when it comes to food stamps, I haven't had food stamps since I was released from jail, living in a transitional housing unit, which was a couple of years ago. But with saying that, little things like that, whether it's wrongful incarceration, legitimate incarceration, it sets you up to be in a really, really good position as a small business owner. So being on, like right now, I got denied for food stamps, and I'm appealing and trying to get them again because I have 3 businesses, but C. Louise, my business consulting, I've had it for 3 months now. And being on food stamps qualifies me for being a low income business. So that puts me in a different bracket of grants and funding sources. And being a minority, puts me in a different bracket. And I normally don't claim anything other than being Black, but the fact that my grandmother's Puerto Rican and Black, and I can now check off on that box of Hispanic and Black, since they're asking for ethnicity and race, I check that box because it puts me in a different bracket of grants and funding. And having a mental illness puts me in a different bracket. So you have to include it all. And because I'm a for-profit business, I'm partnering with a not-for-profit to be my fiscal agent so that I can write grants. I pay them a certain amount. I create programs. And even when it's time to expand, I'm hiring, like in looking at my business plan, to hire people who are at risk so that it can be a program inside of a grant. So you have to be smart about this and be strategic and just use everything that you have in the present moment, not anything from the past, not anything from the future, but stay present and use it all and use it for the best, especially right now in this pandemic time.
So, Brittany Tequila, did you have anything you wanted to weigh in? Go ahead.
I think
I have a question for Miss Sean.
Yes,
Hello?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question for Miss Shante.
Yes,
now,
ma'am.
I know you mentioned that you are have previously been in the system as a female. So what would you tell people who would say that it would be easy for you to get a full-time job? And I know you've probably heard that in the past. And how do you kind of sustain yourself? Because I know us being female, you being in the system, I know you've had a couple of battles to, over hurdles. So what kind of encouragement would you give to someone who would mention that you should just, get a full-time job, have a regular life? Because I really haven't heard of a female who's actually, gone that far since being in the system. So what kind of, what direction or what kind of encouragement would you give to someone who has that story as well?
So I have a very foul mouth, one, and I say get off your A and go do what the hell you need to go do. In the most polite way, because I go to jail when I'm in mental health crisis. I live with bipolar 2 plus with psychosis. So I walk the streets talking to myself. I pee on myself. I have matted hair. That's who I am when I'm off medication. And I go from running multi-million-dollar companies to working at radio stations, being around celebrities, to that. And so my last time of being incarcerated was under 2 years ago. And I got 2 months out of jail. I was working for a county commissioner's political campaign as his campaign manager assistant. And I've worked jobs. You don't turn down any opportunity. That's what I'll say. I've worked jobs. I remember one time I couldn't get a job because my first mental health crisis, I couldn't read, and I have a degree in journalism. And I worked for $7 an hour. I would catch 2 buses and 2 trains to go work for $7 an hour so that I could pay my $450 rent that I sometimes couldn't pay. And I would sell food stamps, Lord forgive me, to cover my rent. And I would eat from the food pantries and the soup kitchen line so that I could keep a roof over my head. And while my child was with my mother, I would still send some money home, even if it was just $50. So you do what you need to do. And there's no excuse. If you're not doing something, if you're not out there trying, all you can do is try. Sometimes, I wake up some days like, I'm going to make $10,000. I don't make nothing. I call Al, what am I doing? Go build a database. Okay. Take the contacts, put them in a database, go write a letter. Okay. And then I find something else, ways to do webinars. And then I find myself getting educated. People say that there's no free education. Like, get educated. If you're in the system, as long as it's not a drug charge, you can go get a Pell Grant. In Georgia, you can get the Hope Scholarship. 80, if I'm not mistaken, 80% of recipients of the Hope Scholarship are white. So all you need is a 70 and 80% GPA or something like that to qualify for a full ride scholarship. If you have a disability, you can go to any state-sponsored school for free. If you're like 62 or 64 and over, you can go to school for free. So go get educated. That's the advice I'll give. Go get educated.
Go ahead, Sharika. I see you with your hand up, girl. Go ahead. Go ahead. Jump on that thing. I see you.
Okay, so let's because this way Brittany can come in and explain something as well. But I just started taking financial classes because y'all know me. I got to keep seeing my money. I can be sleeping in bed. I want money to still be growing for me. I got 6 kids. I told you the welfare system disgraced me so bad I ain't planning on going back. So I work from home. I work from the clinic. I got my kids got their businesses. Everybody in my house got their businesses. But the most amazing thing I took, because I take every class that got something to do with me and my family. Because if you gonna come in and tell me, say your children credit, oh, I know a little bit about that. You ain't gonna just get them any kind of way. Come call your mama, because your mama know what's going on. Your mama get them news and get it for you. So I did take an insurance class. So I know that my daughter goes to Georgia State University right now.
Woo-hoo, Panthers.
Yes. And I pay nothing. I pay nothing because I was responsible enough to set my daughter up before all this went along before her to go to school. My daughter had what was called a universal life policy.
Great.
And Brittany can explain it a little more. I just know that somebody told me, say this right here, your daughter can draw for this policy. She can go to school. She don't have no student loans if she get her money from her policy. And the only thing she would do, it would come off of this policy right here. So I set that up for my daughter. So fortunate enough, my daughter going to Georgia State University. We ain't paying no money, and she get a check back because she was smart. She ain't one of my ones that I would call the dress up dummy. She is actually the smart one, because I got some kids that I just dress them up and they go to school and they be a part of everything that's going on and they ain't getting nothing done. But this one I had to prepare for, and she actually in college. But she actually utilized what is called a universal life policy, and she gets a check from her it's Hope or one of the scholarships. She actually gets a check. So my daughter get a free ride to school, and she get paid to go. So Brittany, could you tell other people how they can utilize stuff like that? You know, parents that might not know. And I think her policy was maybe about, when we started, it was about a $9 policy.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So there's a lot of, actually, when I did personal research, I realized there's a lot of information and backing. So I want to make this as simplistic as possible, because when I personally have to look it up myself, there's just a lot to intake. Now, with now the insurance company that I represent is Bankers Life Insurance. We're based out of Texas. I'm the social media manager for an insurance rep, and that's how Miss Sharika found me, because I made an ad on Facebook. Now, I didn't realize, me personally, I need this service myself. I didn't even know this existed until Miss Sharika contacted me. So I think this is very important, and I think a lot of people need this information past this video, but across the world, because it would really, save us. So there's a lot of information. I'm going to try to simplify it as much as I can. But now with this, pretty much, now the annuity, it offers a way to protect your retirement income. Now, this is a vehicle designed to help us accumulate money for retirement, have saved, or your retirement savings into an income stream. And you can agree to fund the annuity either with a lump sum of money or through regular payments. And these contributions generally earn a tax-deferred rate as they accumulate benefits of annuity. So I have other information as well. And then if you want some more, if you have like any junk, I can assist you with that. And if you need to reach out to me, I can give you, now my phone number is 678-852-3985, or you can email me. That's my first and last name at gmail.com. TTANECK@gmail.com. I think it's interesting because even as an entrepreneur, we're taught that we have a lot of limited options as far as, retirement and ways to sustain for the future. But if I knew this at 16 and could make an account and have myself set up for the future, I think that would be even, easier for me, because I had different income, opportunities when I was younger than I do when I'm 30 now. So if you have any questions,
did I get that number right?
But that's pretty much the. Ma'am.
Was that number right? It's on the screen.
I can't hear you. Hello.
I said I posted your number on the screen. Is it
Hello,
correct?
I can't hear you.
My phone is king.
It is. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Can I add something else to that conversation about college and ways to pay for it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so another thing, like my mom did the electrical wiring on helicopters, robotic assembly lines, and planes when I was growing up. She worked for companies like Gulfstream and Boeing. So I didn't qualify. I qualified for the Pell because she was in the military when I first started looking for college. But then, due to me partying and everything else, I lost all of my financial aid after my freshman year of college. So what I did, I had to apply to be an independent student so that it would go based off of my income instead of based off of my mother's income. And to become an independent student, because they're going to classify you under your parents' income until you're like 24. So you can write an essay, and if it's approved, you can become an independent student where they'll go off of your income and set your financial aid up based off of your income instead of your family's. So
I need that information right now. I got a kid going to college. So shit, my 18-year-old is getting ready to go, probably, well, barring coronavirus, but she's trying to go to California with her brother because she has a brother in California, and she wants to go to school and work on her music. And so having her way in California and me having to still be responsible for the situation is a big thing, where for her, my paper writer, she's the writer of the family. She can write papers in her sleep. So I'm gonna call you later on about that whole essay situation.
Okay.
To find out what details need to be in there.
It's not multiple pages. It's like one page, one paragraph essay, just something showing that you take care of yourself and why you should be financially accountable for your own self. And I also I work for, or I have my own business through FES or Momentous Society with credit repair, but I signed up with them. I don't recruit people. Although I'm signed up as a recruiter, I signed up so that you can have life insurance. And that's because I live with mental health, and the cheapest life insurance policy that I was quoted was like $300 a month. And I was like, before I spend $300 a month, I'll figure out a way to come up with X amount of dollars to make sure that my kids are good. They have life insurance through my mother to make sure that she set them up. So they're good. But for me to make sure that they're good, they give you $100,000 without a medical exam.
Oh, nice. Nice.
But wasn't there a way you could have gotten an annuity?
I don't know. I know that I couldn't qualify for any life insurance through brokers and everything else, but I'm not as familiar with annuities. So I would love to learn a little more about it from Brittany.
But that'll be an amazing thing, because I have a daughter with type 1 diabetes that can't get insurance, and my husband also have type 2 diabetes, and he can't get insurance, but he does have an annuity. And the thing about annuities, you can pass them on down in your family, and that will have your money more so of a trust. Annuities are pretty much can be set up like 401 pensions and insurance writers for your kids, so everybody can be set up. And the more you put into them for your family, you can even split it up the rest of your kids for the rest of their life.
So they set it up almost like a 401k, you said?
You can get it set up in many different areas, because you can have it where it lasts for the life of your kids.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mr.
You can have them set up.
Mr. Keeler, can you weigh in?
One of the options we had to take for everybody who couldn't get insurance in my family.
Okay. Mr. Keeler, can you weigh in from your perspective on what it is that you do? Because I know Brittany she does the annuities and universal and index universal. What is it what angle are you coming in from in terms of finances?
Okay, I wanted to add to that college too, but since you asked me that, I would bring that in at the end. So what we do, we offer 4 pillars. So the first one is Money Max. Money Max helps you with the cash flow management, which most people don't have to hold on because they so much of the income and not how your cash is actually growing. So it helps you in the long run. So it helps you with your cash flow management, budgeting, tax planning, estate planning, to actually go back 3 years on your tax return, tax deduction strategies help you minimize your expenses. And then we also have Credit Max, which is definitely credit. So it's credit restoration. but we're not credit repair. So we're just not going to put a Band-Aid on it for you because it doesn't work like that. So we're going to help you build and maintain your credit. We also have equity match, which is our debt elimination system. So we help you snowball your debt. And we're not talking about like over years of time. Say, for example, we show people if you put your student loans, your mortgage, your car loan, your credit cards, whatever you have, put into the system and it's snowballing. We've had people being able to pay off a 30-year mortgage in 8 years using the system. Then we have our last pillar, which is Wealth Max. So this is our wealth generation strategy, which is investment, which everybody needs to have that end game, which is investment, because we always say it's two financial objectives. You have your current lifestyle and your future lifestyle. Most people in their current lifestyle, which is their work, their career, you use that money to pay your bills, your car note, whatever you have to pay. But what are you going to do when you no longer have to work like we're in right now? What are you going to have to sustain you in the future? You need to be invested. You need to have an investment vehicle that's going to have your money making money for you. So with the Wealth Max, we teach you about land banking. And land, you can't get land anymore because it's not, well, as far as like, God is not making land anymore. So why not invest in land? And we also have the private reserve account, which is an account that helps your money make money for you. And I want to piggyback on that college because it's definitely different from the regular college, like the 529. With the private reserve account, you actually get to put money in and not have any tax penalty on it. So it's like no tax risk on your money. And actually comes with a death benefit. Now, how they do all that, I don't know because it's all experts. So you have unlimited consultations with financial advisors, CPAs, IRS enrolled agents. So we just plug people into the system and have the experts do the work for them.
So you said that's called the 529?
I was saying as far as the Wealth Max, they show you how to get you a private reserve account. So they give you like it's a college alternative to the 529. But a private reserve account, they do a lot with that. So I don't want to speak about that because I don't know all the ins and outs. I don't want to give nobody no wrong information. So that's why they have financial advisors that take care of that part.
So if somebody wanted to contact you to get that information, where would they go and who would they, how would they be able to get in contact with you?
Well, they're welcome to call or text me at 770-744-4062. And they can always look me up on any platform at The Wealth Gossiper. GOSSIPER.
Tequila, do you mind sharing again what you were saying about for those who own land or investing in land?
Yeah, what you call land banking. So the wealth experts actually they go over what money you have that you can invest. So like I said, I'm not talking about their money. I let them talk to the experts about it because that's their job and that's what they do. So if it seems fit for you, if you have enough to buy land with, you're able to get land 20 to 40% below market value. So they actually go find the land for you. And then you're able to purchase that land. They send you a plaque and where your land is located. However, they find you land in areas that are coming up, that are growing. So like hospitals that's being built, new Walmart, locations like that. So your land definitely makes you money over the next couple of years.
Wow.
So,
and a lot of people using our private reserve account now for 401k because that has definitely plummeted. So a lot of people can make 401k into our private reserve account because it's no tax. I mean, there's no tax risk, there's no loss because it's not off the stocks. So it doesn't make its money off the stock. So you don't lose.
Okay.
Sharika, you were going to say something, sweetie?
Oh, okay. I was about to tie the whole show together so everybody can understand the reason for this show. Pretty much the reason why we have everybody that's on the panel today is because Tequila, Brittany, they have opportunities for work at home. During this pandemic, we have learned that we're not telling nobody they got to quit their job, but we see how it can go with you having a job. I just think that it was very important for people to learn that they need multiple streams of income. I have been doing it for some time. People actually can't understand why I'm crazy because I got so much stuff going on. But there's never a time you can say I'm closed. Something might be closed, but I got something else that's making money to take care of my family. And I think that that was very important because they can talk to these women and they might be interested in starting. Like Tequila, she just explained her business, but she don't have to do any of the work. They got financial advisors for that. So that sounds like something that might be excellent. And then the information, because I'm about to talk to her after the show over and find out how I can get involved and make that business number 8.
Right.
So, it's just, you just need knowledge, a little bit of knowledge about everything. And with Brittany and with insurance agent, it's a lot of stuff that people just don't know. And that's another thing you can do for home. And I think it's going to be very important for people to start building these at-home businesses, getting the tax deductions. It's 475 different tax deductions that you get just for having an at-home business. And this is a thing that's not put out there. And that's why these businesses was important. And this show was important because this is the time to tell people about these things because they're sitting at home with nothing to do. This might be the time for them to join Tequila and Brittany and Shantae and stuff and get some at-home businesses.
And we don't, and the funny thing is, Sharika and I, as hosts of the show, Sharika is a tax preparer. Sharika does taxes for people. I'm actually a gold investor. I actually have a gold savings account that I invest in, and I just looked in my back office. I haven't done anything, but the prices of gold are still going up because what people don't know is when the economy's down, the price of gold, precious metals goes up. And so I literally just got a commission check dropped in my back. I was like, wait, I didn't do anything. Oh, okay. And so you have to know what the different streams of income are. And if nobody's putting them out there for people to see, that you can still survive and sustain yourself and be at home and still be making money. There's not, you don't have to be stuck. And that's what a lot of people feel, especially, we talked about mental health on a past show, and there are people right now because they don't know what they're going to do. Their mental health is now in question and in jeopardy because they don't know what they're going to do. And they don't know what they're going to do because they don't have any resources and any tools. And so now you stuck in the house and you got cabin fever and you're trying to figure out, and I laugh about the social distancing and yes, I'm tired of it, but I have stuff to do. Like I'm not sitting at home doing nothing. So there's a lot that we could be doing and a lot that our audience, we want to encourage them to say, hey, for those of us that are watching, for those that will watch this on the rebroadcast, this is information that you need to be able to pass on, because if we don't educate the people that are out there, then they won't know. And a lot of people look at home-based business and they say, well, you guys are in it for yourselves. Yeah, but you can't build business without another person. So people are building these businesses, and I help you as a business owner. My job from home is to help you. And by helping you, it helps me. And some people don't understand that concept, but it's biblical. It's like the disciples got sent out, and he said, "You two go out, and then you tell 2 more people, and you tell 2 more people." That's the nature of network marketing or at-home based businesses, is to tell somebody else so they can get the education to help themselves and then pass it on. And people get that confused. They don't realize that that's really what's going on.
Right. And I tell people too, you have to look at it. It's just, no, I don't want to say we're like the Spanish flu. However, times like this, back in 1918, when Madam Stewart Walker became a millionaire. You know, in the midst of crisis is opportunity.
Mm-hmm. And for those who are at home who don't have a way of making money, like one of my businesses is through David Allen Capital, and I posted the link. It's free to join, and I write loans. And usually we need credit card information. It's equipment financing, it's credit card processing, and it's loans that take about 2 business days to fund, anywhere from $10,000 to $1 million. And I'm new to David Allen Capital. I've worked with other companies in the past and other banks. Sometimes with banks, you can actually reach out and become an independent contractor to write loans through them, and they'll allow you to. So I've done this for several companies, and I've written loans for them, and they pay a certain percentage, but it's free to join. It's not network marketing, but they can sign up under me. I'll send them the information, but there's no cost out of pocket. And all you have to do is share. And if you have friends who are small business owners or looking to go into business, you just share. Like right now, the SBA has run out of money for a lot of these stimulus. Well, not these government bailouts for small businesses. They run out of money, so small businesses need financing. So you just share the information, and if they need it or they want it, then they'll take you up on it. But it's nothing to really sell. If you want to keep your doors open, you want to keep your employees, here's an opportunity for you.
I have something I want to add to just to the conversation. I tell people too, while you have time at home, and I know you might feel like you're in panic and you're in fear, the news will definitely make you feel that way. However, while you have the time, write down what you feel like you're passionate about. If you want to do stuff for a while, figure out how you can package that into a course and make an ebook and sell it that way, if that's how you want to make money. And you can use Canva and make an ebook, and then find you Spotify or some other, course that can help you make profit from that, so you can be able to sell it on a platform. You can make money that way. But while you have time, journal and figure out what lights you up inside and what makes you go, so you can figure out how can I create income and leverage in this pandemic. How can I come out better than I came in?
And that's the hope. Our hope is that shows like these, because this won't be the last one, but shows like these will be able to get people the information that they need in order to make their situation better, so that this time at home doesn't become wasted time.
Right.
That this time at home doesn't become time where you're just sitting at home twiddling your thumbs and trying to figure out which news outlet is lying to you. And so you flipping between CNN, Fox, and MSNBC, and MSNBC, and trying to figure out which one of them is not lying. So, and that's really the day to day if you don't have anything else that you're trying to get accomplished. Like if you don't have anything you're trying to get accomplished, that's okay, empire, because this is madness and I'm not, okay, what's Cookie Lions doing? Because at that point, you begin to start to feel some type of way. We all gonna die. Everybody gonna get the coronavirus. 90 billion people are dead already. I mean, and these are the things that are going on the news.
Right.
If you're not careful, you will get sucked into the bad part. Like I spent a lot of time watching it to figure out what was going on, but I never wanted to be in a position where it was just like, this is all, I'm not getting any information that I can use. Yes, I know there's a virus. Yes, I know it's contagious. And yes, I know that I should stay in the house, but what else is there? Al, is there anything else that you wanted to add to this conversation, sir? You have been so silent. I know you're surrounded by girls. However, I know that you have some power pack. We don't have a lot of brothers that are speaking into the nations right now. I need you to speak, sir. Say something good.
Say something, speak something, brother.
Say something big.
Well, the business of America is business. And so it is useful for us to be clear that the small business community is the spine of the future of America. So our neighborhoods and our communities must have a whole different relationship to business as we move forward into the 21st century. So when we go to our churches and we find ourselves moved by the Spirit, also talk about being moved by a business. When we find ourselves going to the grocery store and we get moved by what we're going to buy, the sweet and taste good, also talk to somebody in the line about moved by being in a business. When we go down to the gym and we work out and get those muscles and musclettes and we have a good time and we're all high on the workout, also talk to somebody about being high on going into business. When you're at home and talking about how you're bored, what's not working at the house, one of the things that will always, always, always work in a home is a business.
Yep.
So what I want to leave you with is that the business of America is business. It's time for us to get on board and move that forward in the dawn of the 21st century.
And with that, you right. With what you said, the two quotes that I'm leaving here with, that this one, I'm gonna put it back up there. In the midst of crisis is opportunity. That gave me life. I just want y'all to know, Miss Tequila, that was yours. And bringing it home for us after that one. Wait, hold on. Because see, now I'm having technical difficulties. There it is. The business of America is business. To me, that sums up everything. Right there. In the midst of crisis is opportunity. And the business of America is business. As much as we all laugh about our orange president, the reason why he's going ham about trying to get the country back open, because the business of America is business, and he's in the White House going, look, we got to get back to what America is good for, which is business, and we can't do that at the house. And that's literally what's driving him crazy. They don't. Everybody like no. He, like him or not, the business of America is business, and that's his issue right now. It's business, and that's his bottom line. And I can't be mad at that, because all of us as entrepreneurs and as business-minded individuals, we know. I was just thinking, I'm a photographer by education. This is my season right now. Graduation, prom, weddings, everybody does all that stuff in the summer. They have literally killed summer. So I'm sitting at the house, we're looking at my camera going, okay, baby, I don't know. I mean, and that's a stream of income that has been stifled for me because I cannot go out and do that. Now, when Shantae said you can still go to work and file for unemployment if you're a small business owner, understand I'm going to be on the computer tonight.
I was going to ask Shantae to put some information on the side and some links, because we know we got a lot of small businesses struggling right now, because some people wasn't fortunate enough to just say, well, I'm going to do my business, but I'm have this other thing on the side. So we need some links for those people.
I'm doing it now. So when you go to the SBA.gov, you're going to go to the coronavirus relief. There's a posting from April 13th where they lay out the government system that they have in place for the computer for like the Department of Labor and stuff is from the 50s. They've updated it through the years, but they haven't just built another system since the 50s. So right now with the stimulus packages, it's called the PUA, Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. And with that, it's the federal government paying. So if you are an employee, and I think in Georgia, the max is like $350, $390. It's under $400 a week. That's the max for unemployment. So if you're an employee, they're adding on $600. Like I keep seeing these Facebook posts talking about Canada getting $2,000. What about America? We're getting a $1,200 stimulus check, $500 per child. And then with unemployment, if you make whatever you're making, they're going to add on $600. So if you get $300, you'll get $900 a week up to 4 months. If you're a gigger, like a Lyft driver, Uber, waiter, waitress, self-employed, independent contractor, you'll get $600 a week. And they're going to start taking applications and doing the process next month or Monday coming up, the 22nd. You can go online to SBA.gov. I'm sorry, the Department of Labor. Let me put that up there. You can go to the Department of Labor and apply. They're going to deny you. You have to get denied for unemployment first. And then after that, they'll qualify you for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. And with that new stimulus that they're talking about rolling out of $2,000, they're waiting to see if it can get passed. So $2,000 a month while we're dealing with this coronavirus pandemic. Instead of it being households of $75,000 or less, they're going up to $130,000. So you can be a single person, head of household, making $130,000 or less and qualify for this next set of stimulus payments.
So there's a lot of information that is out there. I don't know if Al can top his last words of last words, but we're getting ready to wrap this show up, and I want everybody to give their one last word of encouragement. Whoever wants to go first, go first, but we're going to give one. What's your parting awesomeness that you're going to leave? I don't know if Al could top his. I'm just saying. But whatever else, what's your one? Tequila, you either for that matter. But whatever your one last word to say to the audience when you guys share this video later on, what's the one thing you want to leave people with? I want
to leave people with there's always the opportunity to do business. If you want to handle business in your house by opening up a business. Do that in America, and the business of America will always be business.
Right.
No, Tequila, what were you gonna say?
Because I know a lot of people say, this is going to be our new norm. However, if you feel like it's your new norm, maybe, you can create your own new norm. It doesn't have to be your new norm. So like Al is saying, create your own new norm and get in the entrepreneur side.
All right, Shantae.
Well, I'm going to say one of my biggest lessons that I've learned in business, and I actually got this from Al. I used to be a doing junkie. I'd have like my things to do list with like 50 things on it. And you have to learn to just be and not do. You can take the same actions as a homeless person and as a CEO. You can do the same 50 things, but who you're being in that moment, in that present moment, impacts what your results will be.
Love it.
Go to the bathroom.
All right, Brittany.
Okay, I think that at my age being 30, a lot of people my age, we feel that we can't really find our fit because a lot of economical things have happened in our lives. So I want to encourage everybody in my age group to not give up. And if it takes a million different things and tests and trials to get where you have to go, you'll get there one day. But don't give up and be okay with trying different things until you find what works for you. And just, don't put too much pressure on yourself, because I know a lot of people my age are doing that, but just eventually you'll figure it out. It's going to take a minute, but just like our parents figured it out one day, we'll figure it out one day too. So
All right, Sharika, parting words, my dear.
Well, I just want everybody to know that no matter what your situation is now, that doesn't mean it has to be your final situation. You got chance to change. As long as you're living, you got chance to change. So whatever your narrative is now doesn't have to be the end result. It's up to you to change it. And I think that y'all need to be calling some of these people, changing y'all narratives, because we got a lot of people rated in poverty and lower class, and we need more people to become middle and high class.
And so the last thing I'm going to say is, we go to church and we hear people talk about the great wealth transfer. This is it.
Come on now.
Don't be confused about what's going on. If you start getting prophetic and biblical about it, this is it. When you start looking at the signs, we as the people of God, the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just. Be the just. And start to, as Al said, be in the business of being in business, because the business of America is business. So remember, transfer is happening now, and you have to be in a position to the windows of heaven are open up, the blessings pouring out. Get your bucket ready. So those blessings as they come down. Thanks for panel. You have
vote for Al.
Right.
Who's also, hold on, another thing, Al is very modest. He did not tell y'all that he's also an insurance broker. So
all the stuff. See, Al, you holding out.
When I was sitting there trying to help Brittany out, you could have helped Brittany with that.
But you know, when grown folks talking, you just let them go ahead and run with it. So that's one of my favorite things to do.
But Al, you could have helped me and Brittany with that because I knew about it because I knew enough to get it for my kids. But you could have helped me and Brittany.
See him leave us hanging like that? You see, he come in with these good one-liners and leave us hanging out there like that. Al, all right, Al, let's see how it is. I want you guys to vote Al Bartell for Senate when they finally let us out the house and we can go vote, or maybe they let us vote online. I don't know how they're gonna do it. Because as you can see, this man has things to say. He's doing things in the city. He's doing things for the urban community. And he is an independent, which means if you're a Republican or a Democrat, it doesn't matter. You can still vote for Al.
That's
so
right.
Vote for Al Bartell for U.S. Senate. We need more brothers in the Senate. Yeah, we need more representation. So y'all do what y'all got to do. Push the button. Click. This has been a sister's point of view, the conversation. Join us next time because, and we are doing a 2-hour live prayer tomorrow. So if you need Jesus to touch your life, hit us up tomorrow, same bad time, same bad channel. Tomorrow morning, we are praying for 2 hours because we got money, we got God, we got it. That's it.
All right, we got time, a whole lot of time.
Whole lot. They got a whole lot till the 31st. Did y'all see that?
Stop talking about it. You make me quit. Stop. Hey.
Thank y'all for having me too. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all and work to do.
Coming.
Thank y'all.
It was fun.
Yeah.